Well, here's another project that's come through the door. Kilo had a client that teaches piano, and this was her loaner that she gave out to people to see if they were really interested. And it came back to her not working, she said. So we're going to see what's wrong with this, maybe get it working for her and give it back to her, is our hope. Maybe it'll be something easy. We did notice when it came in that there was no power supply included, so either it may be that simple. We can hope. So what we're going to do, this is typically how we test stuff. We've made up this little cord that'll plug right into our bench power supply. And this is a 12 volt DC, and it has a negative tip. So what we've done is put our adapter on, made sure the tip's negative, and we're going to see what happens. So I'll unplug it. We're going to give this thing 12 volts. Plug it in, and yeah, there's a power button. Well, it's coming on. And I think that was all that was wrong with it. Maybe they just lost the power supply. Yeah, so I think we will go to our box of power supplies and see if we can find one to use on this and give it back to her. Alright, so we went to our handy box of power supplies. This is why we keep everything. And I know what you're saying. Go out and buy a dang power supply. You can get them that switch to any voltage. You can switch the tip. But we're trying to do this cheap, like always, and just get this back to her where she can have a useful piece of equipment. This is just a loaner for her. It's not, I don't think it's a real high-end piece of equipment, just something to get her students to see if they want to actually pursue this. So we're just going to go through, as you can see, this is one of our giant boxes of AC adapters that we're going to go through and see if we can find a 12 volt DC with the correct polarity. Alright, so wouldn't you know it, every power supply we had was either the wrong voltage or the wrong polarity. So we got the right voltage, wrong polarity. What we've done is we've just cut the two wires and flipped them, and we'll mark the polarity out on this so people won't mistake it if they jerk this off to use it for something else. And we're just gonna, I've tested this, it's working with the keyboard. I'm just gonna put these together, put some shrink tubing on it, solder it, and she'll be good to go. And this is just, I mean, if it was something that you were willing to spend some money on, you just go out and buy a power supply from Radio Shack or wherever. But we're just trying to be cheap and get this a no charge repair for her, and hopefully show our YouTube viewers a easy way to do something here. So I got my soldering iron heating up over here. We're gonna cut a couple pieces of shrink tubing, one on each here, and then I'm gonna put an additional piece over the whole shebang after the fact to help hold together, make it all nice and neat. So normally you got this one with the white stripe and the black one. We're going to switch those. These hot air rework guns work really well for shrink tubing. Most people already know that, but if you don't, I recommend these. You can get these now on eBay, probably a lot of other places, but you can get them most of the time on eBay for about 30 bucks. I wouldn't spend more than 50 on one. And they are made in China, but they do work pretty good. So, and that's it. We have a pretty neat repair. You know, you can tell it's been repaired, but it is still pretty neat. tidy, and this is going to work for her. We are going to mark out this polarity so no one will mistake it in the future. You always want to do that. Save someone else's electronics if they're scavenging. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It shows you just kind of some of the stuff that can come across your workbench when you're into electronics. This is the simplest fix you can hope for, and that being nothing really wrong with the unit other than just missing a part. A lot of people don't think about simple things like just switching a couple wires to make the power supply work. And this lady should be happy with this. I mean, this very well could have just been something you found that someone threw out and thought it was not going to work because they didn't have the power supply for it. And you could have had a perfectly working keyboard to play around with. Do a little demo. You can jam out to the little demo it does, which is a lot better than what I can play. So